What's up, everyone? Welcome. We are on CannaBuzz right now. We have a great episode for you today. We are talking to Wide Hippie Genes. It's an episode all for the growers. We know the love in our channel is all for the growers. Everyone's a gardener here, so we've got a great episode for you today. Before we do, we just want to make some shout outs. First off, shout out to everyone in the CannaBuzz community, just followers of the channel and people that have been members of our members only community in the past. The community is kind of up in the air right now. Stripe, our payment processor, the way like people could pay us basically after what was it, 6 or 7 years on their like flying below the radar, they found us and they shut us down. And unfortunately, Stripe is like pretty much the only game in town when it comes to this kind of stuff, and also that can work with platforms that we use and so on and so forth. So that was quite the I don't know, wrench in the gears, but regardless, we're still going to put out content even if, there's no like paid community or whatever it is. We'll figure some things out. But anyways, I just wanted to put that out there since I kind of talked about it a little bit on the last episode, but after watching it back, I realized that I wasn't as clear as I could have been. So I just wanted to shout that out. And then otherwise, let's see, JR, did you want to make some shout outs before we get into the episode?
Yeah, I just want to let people know that got to get out and do some foraging over this last few weekends, and I've been working on a lot of stuff for the spring for stuff on Tokens Roots. So if you search Tokens Roots, or if you get a hold of me at jrtoken at tokensroots dot, I can help you out. And one of the ones that people, it did amazing was kind of the lead into it. I think that was an easy one for people. The one that is now starting to pick up is lion's mane. And I think it has a lot to do with the, just the neuroregenerative type stuff and cognitive stuff that it brings to the table is appealing to a lot of people. So getting a lot more interest about the lion's mane. If you're interested, just hit me up.
Awesome. Well, let's see. You guys were just talking about before the show started. You guys go way back. So, JR, I guess, do you want to do our intro for the show?
Yeah, I would love to. Welcome to the show, Wide Hippie Genes. Welcome to the show, man. I've been following you for a long time on social media and just watching your journey and your grind. I've seen you outdoors, I've seen you indoors, I've seen you throughout all the doors. And I think it's great to kind of catch up with you, get a little bit, more about your history and some of the stuff you've been able to accomplish. I noticed that you kind of took a little bit of a break, it seemed like, and now you're back and the family's got you busy, and I want to hear all about it. So welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, JR. I appreciate it, Q. Love you guys. Love the content you guys do, and I'm looking forward to it.
Thanks, man.
Excellent.
So yeah, I guess since you've watched the show before, the first question that we often ask people when they're first time on the show is kind of just your backstory. How did you fall in love with the plant, and how did that kind of bring you to where you are today?
Well, I fell in love with the plant pretty instantaneously. I think I was 16 at the time, just going out with some friends. We ended up, smoking, rolling a blunt. Had a friend who had a cousin who had some stuff. We went out to this really nice neighborhood late at night. It had just rained, so there was mud all over the place. I had brand new shoes on. The shoes got muddy. This is before I actually got high, so I'm like tripping about that initially. And hit the blunt. It hurt so bad because I had never smoked anything before. I'm thinking I'm about to die, just hacking my brains out. And after about 2 or 3 hits, I started feeling a little bit like, okay, a little woozy. So afterwards, we were going to go to Denny's. And when I got in the car, I did this, it sounds crazy at the time, but I did this Bill Cosby impersonation. I don't know why. I just did it randomly, and it made me laugh so hard. Like, what the fuck am I doing? You know what I mean? But we went to Denny's and walked in. I thought I saw a family from church. I don't think they were, but I was kind of annoyed at the time, but it didn't ruin the experience. Sat down, got a Moons over my hammy, and it was the best thing ever. I couldn't believe how fire it was, dude. It changed my life. So I'm like, okay, I need to get this stuff in abundance if I can. I wasn't able to at the time because I didn't have any money, but it was definitely a life-changing experience. Love at first light for sure. So essentially, shortly after that, we went legal for medical in Michigan. So I had to finesse a way to get my card, and that process was interesting. Just kind of seeing how it developed. You guys kind of know when industries first pop off, it's kind of like the Wild West. Like anything kind of goes. It's a lot of gray area, and there's a lot of people that take advantage of it at the time. So luckily for me and a lot of other people, there was a doctor who he ended up getting like caught and convicted and all that stuff now, but he was essentially like every Sunday, actually it was like once a month every on a Sunday, but you go into this place called Hydro World, you fill out this application, he would come through and just run like thousands of people through, like boom, boom, boom. So I got in there, and one of the biggest conversations that I heard that really changed my perspective on it was the woman that was signing people in. And she was talking about how she met so many different people that quit school and quit their jobs and all this stuff because they started growing. And I'm like, man, I don't want to go to school. I don't want to work. I just want to smoke. I was just in like a straight hippie mindset at the time. But again, I couldn't afford it. So I always knew one day I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. And I was living with my dad at the time. He was much older than I was. He had me when he was 59. So I took care of him for like a really long time, but I was with him at the time and I knew that I couldn't grow. So fortunately, at the time that the medical went through, they were accepting product from caregivers. So caregivers could come through and sell a pound, 2, 3 pounds, whatever. It did have to be tested, but they would sell it in. So there was so much variety and so much dank around. It was unbelievable. Even now, I still remember specific like koshers and 24K and a bunch of stuff that just like changed my life, changed my world. Durban Poison brought me out of like this crazy depression at the time. I like was hooked on being sad, and it wouldn't let me be sad. I like was trying so hard. It just would not let me be upset. And so that kind of changed my thinking at the time, with what I was going through. And that kind of started me to become, the person I am today. But really that first blunt, like it changed everything for me. It really did.
So I mean, looking back, you could see how there was like incremental rewiring of who you were as a person in your thought patterns, because that's something I always say is, your thoughts, kind of create your actions, and your actions kind of create your reality. So to kind of look back and see that incremental change in the way your wiring was, kind of led you down probably a totally different road than had you not gone out and got your sneakers dirty that night.
That is absolutely right. Absolutely right. And it took a while to kind of, get into how I wanted to finesse my newfound love and appreciation for the plant, things like that. It's a natural progression of things, but it absolutely changed everything for me, especially like you said, the rewiring of my brain in real time. I like to look back on it now to just see how much further I've come. But it was like, man, that dude at the time I was tripping, bro. I was tripping just like on everything. And it's kind of funny now, but it makes sense why, the government doesn't want you to have something that'll change your thinking and have you looking at things in a positive way and not so much on bullshit. So yeah, it was cool. It was cool. And it's still cool. That's the chase, the everlasting chase of the terps and effects and directions. So
Right. So bring us into your first like grow experiences, and then like kind of weave that into where you're at today as a grower.
yes. So my first grow experiences was it took my dad passed when he was 87. So he had a nice full life, did a whole bunch of stuff. He actually taught like essentially like a DARE program, but not DARE, but like an anti-drug program he started a school in Benton Harbor back in the day. And it's just funny how now I'm like the stoner of like no one else smokes on that side of the family. I'm just like, I took it all for everybody. But after he passed away in December 7th or December 20th of 2017. And before he passed away, I was watching a bunch of YouTube videos and things like that, not because we kind of had a heads up that it was coming. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to live by myself for the first time in my life. And the one thing I've dreamt of was smoking in my own place, like waking up, just fire up, no one saying anything to me, and growing in my own place. So once he passed away, it took about 4 months. I ended up ordering seeds on it was a Spanish website. I can't remember, like Cannabia or something like that. But I grabbed like some Russian doll and some AK-48 at the time and a few other things. But I got my seeds in the mail on April the 2nd of 2018, and I put them in the soil on April the 8th of 2018. So in Michigan here, we can grow 12 plants. And at the time with medical, you could do 12 per patient that you had too. So I did have a couple patients, but I was just starting slow with the 12. My biggest thing was that I didn't want to fail. Besides the fact that I have kind of a thing with myself about failing, um, every video that I watched, it was like beginners don't succeed because they do this. They overwater, they underwater, they overfeed, they underfeed. And I was determined to not be that person. I'm like, okay, fuck all this shit. I'm about to be the one, break the mold. I'm gonna kill it my first girl for sure. So I was locked in, like studying all night, watching YouTube videos, taking on as much information as I could. And that's kind of a problem in and of itself. There's so much information, you don't know what works. So I just tried a bunch of stuff and had a really awesome grow. And I was overconfident after the first grow. And I'm like,
Yeah.
this shit's so easy. Like, what are they talking about? And the
Yeah.
next grow was horrible.
I've had that. Yeah. I've been there.
it's like growers' rights. You're like, man,
Yeah.
this shit's easy. But it gave me an appreciation for just how much I was putting into the first grow, how much attention to detail I was putting into the first grow, and took my foot off the gas. It didn't work. So the third grow, I'm like, okay, I'm locked in again, but let's expand. So I start getting like a ton of tents, and I was doing a lot. It kind of looked like your garden, JR, to be honest with you, but in a lot smaller space and not nearly as well done. So
thank you. I appreciate that.
The third grow went pretty well, threw some autoflowers in there, and I kind of just went from there. And it was some ups and downs, mostly up. So I'm very thankful for that. But eventually that led me to the grow facility. And that was really just through my partner, who I ended up working with for about 7 years. He lives across the street from me. I actually was really cool with his nephew. He would come through and bring everybody bags. And at the time that I didn't have money, he would front bags. So I'm like, oh, sweet. And I always got him back. So that developed a really good relationship. In addition to us living across the street from each other. And he got an opportunity to work at a facility here in Michigan. There was a lawyer from Chicago that had purchased a building, and he needed people who we knew and trusted to run it. So my partner got in and got me in, and essentially we were there for the build out. So we did the whole build out with a few other people. The owner, his older siblings, they were like in their 70s. A grower from another city who ended up being our head grower initially. His dad owned a grow shop in his city. So what he was doing was stacking his dad's grow shop, selling everything to our facility.
Yeah.
But he didn't know what he was doing is the problem. So he talked good shit. Man, I've been here, I've done this, and la da 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 da. And so he got the facility going. I got in with him. I got in maybe 2 months after they started. So I was there for the build out. I didn't work for the first couple months. Then I got in, and instantly I knew that what I was seeing was different from the videos I was seeing on YouTube. I'm like, man, they usually defoliate on YouTube, and they usually like don't just fill the tables up with water and just let them sit there. Like usually there's like a flood and drain, or there's like, so he was kind of going by the seat of his pants. We were 6 weeks into flower when I got there, and there was no harvest room. There was no cure room. It's like, what's the plan? So what ended up happening was the whole room was hermed out and had a ton of seeds. And we ended up having to chop everything down. There was some turmoil with the grower. He ended up we all got laid off essentially after that big chop down. The head grower was there by himself with his wife. They got fired. They brought my partner back with one consultant from another company. Then after about 3 months of that, I got brought on. So it was me, my partner, and the consultant. So from that point on, we kind of rebuilt the facility, got everything kind of how it should be. And from there we were off. And eventually we hired two more people. So the biggest crew we really had was 4 guys. And maybe 2 years ago, the 2 guys got let go because of the market. It's really tough. It's tough everywhere, but in Michigan, there's definitely an oversaturation, I would say, and it's a race to the bottom. There's billboards everywhere: free ounce, free this, buy one get penny this, penny pre-rolls. It's kind of crazy. So the market kind of had a big hit, took those guys out. So then it was back to me and my partner. And we were harvesting every 2 weeks. We defoliated everything. We cloned, we trimmed, we did everything. So we worked 7 days a week. And but I loved it. It was a labor of love, and that introduced me to everybody I know. I mean, everybody. And weed has brought me everywhere, and everything. So it's unbelievable. I'm incredibly grateful for it.
That's one of the things we kind of wanted to bring up next is your interactions with the Humboldt Seed Company and going to Spain and all that cool shit. Kind of talk about that experience, because that doesn't, I mean, a lot of people who have that mindful focus and they get into where they want to go, the way you drove yourself that way, rarely does that mean international trips with really cool people. So kind of talk about that.
Yeah. I love Humble Seed Company. They've been great. So that initial grow with the head grower we were talking about, we grew everything from seed. And 2 of those packs of seed were all gas OG and vanilla cream pie from Humble Seed Company. So at the time, I was really just starting my posting journey. When I started my first Instagram page, I really didn't want to show my face or anything like that. I just wanted to show seed packs that I was buying, like exclusive packs, the packs that would sell out instantly. I got a rush of just like the drops and then seeing it.
Like
just
Pokemon.
Dude, I was a
Yeah.
big Pokemon head back in the day.
Yeah, I got to catch them all.
It came back to bite me for sure. And so
when was this? When you were doing like collecting all the seeds? Like what year?
This was probably about 7 years ago. Yeah,
Okay.
before I got into the facility.
I just like kind of thinking about like what were the breeders back then and all that kind of stuff. Okay, cool.
I was into, man, Soulfire. I bought a ton of Soulfire stuff.
Still crushing it.
Still, and he's a super cool dude. I met him a couple times. Really cool guy. I was really big into mass medical strains.
Oh yeah,
I remember that. I got a few of those pupil.
Yeah, the pupil. Yeah, I had like the pupil Magoo and the a bunch of. I had the Poo-Tang. I had a ton of his stuff. He was also really open and responded to DMs.
Prolific back then. Yeah,
100%. He was like the organic guy. You know, he was about the organic seeds and all that good stuff. So he was really cool. A bunch of people at the time. Really, I was buying them just like Pokemon cards. If they look cool, I wanted to get them. Yeah. Or if I heard that they were going to sell out quick, I wanted to get them. And just to get them, you know, it was a weird ego thing at the time. I'm now realizing, and just almost like to stun on people, like, "Oh shit, I got this. Did you get it?" You know. And so, I think what happened is my page got deleted, and what I think happened was there was this one drop for the iced up cherries from Robin Hood Genetics or Square One Genetics. Both. I was grabbing a ton of that too. Still fire. Yeah. And it was iced up cherries, and I ended up grabbing like 4 packs, and there was only not that many. And I posted them, and it was the first time I had ever got people being like, "Oh, that's where the packs went. How come you blah blah blah?" You know, I'm like, "Oh, what's the problem?" And my page got like reported shortly after that. I didn't even know what happened. And so I had like 5,000 followers, blah blah blah, and that got deleted. But what that did was kind of it made me take a step back with like why I was doing it. And because even when I was devastated just because I put so much work into my page, and eventually I got up the courage from a friend of mine to put my face on there, you know, because you know how it is. It's like I don't want feds at my fucking door. It's straight up, and I just like minding my business and things like that. So really, what led me to all of it was that exact friend that told me about putting my face on there. Her name is Morgan Ganja Girl on Instagram. She's a dope ass DJ right now, doing really sick shit. But at the time, she had her own cannabis brand, and she actually got the first event license in Lansing, Michigan. So she graduated from a program called Our Academy, and um, the graduation was in Venice. So she invited me out, and I hadn't really traveled at the time. I now realize because I like comfortable. I like comfortability. I like a comfort zone. So that's not good, by the way. But I would get comfortable and not want to explore outside of my circle. So she invited me out, and I'm like, I don't know. So I decided to go, and it changed. Just like we changed my life, this event changed my whole perspective on the industry as a whole, because it was like 20 different individual brands, different people that had dope vibes, their own unique energy. It was a collaborative spirit. It was a celebration of everybody's business. And it made me just like look at everything completely differently. And so when I came home, I'm like, okay, I need to get in this program. Shout out to Hillary Yu. She's like an incredible woman. She does everything. She's just outstanding. But she got me in the program. I learned a ton of stuff about the industry and the sales and the marketing and things like that in an effort to launch my own brand. But getting out to LA really kind of changed my mind on things and traveling in general. So eventually, Nat hit me up from posting the pictures in the grow, and he sent me a pack of seeds, or he told me to give him a shout. So I called him. He was in his vault. He's picking out a bunch of seeds to send to me. He sent me a bunch of seeds. I ended up growing them. I just kept them for myself. I wasn't going to take them into the facility, but I kept them for myself, grew this all gas special batch, breeder's batch, grew that out, and ended up going out to California for the Emerald Cup in Sonoma. So
What year?
I think that was 2020.
Was that the teepee year with Dragonfly Earth Medicine and the teepees?
Yeah. Yep.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool. Nice.
Yeah, we were there that year.
Yeah, we were there.
That was the. I'm sure I saw you. You know what I mean? But
yeah.
But went out there with him. That was the first time I allegedly traveled with any like product, and so, but I was determined to do it because he sent that to me, and I'm like, man, I'm gonna grow this out, kill it, and bring it back to him. So I did. I only brought a quarter allegedly with me, and got it to him. He thought it was super fire, so that like made the trip for me. Went back home, and then just continued connection with them. Continue posting, growing their genetics. He would send me some stuff. I would just buy some stuff, and they were always supportive. And eventually, when Spandabis came around, they asked if I wanted to roll. And actually, I even think the Pheno Hunt was before that in 2023 that I went out to. They had like a week-long Pheno Hunt, annual Pheno Hunt. They go to like 7 to 10 different farms and check out a bunch of cultivars that they gave them from the year prior. So I went out there with them, spent like a week out there. I was out there on my birthday. They treated me like family, So it's really cool with them. And eventually that led to Spannabis, and I was fearless at that time as far as the travel goes. So I was ready to experience something outside of the country, and it was unbelievable. The best food, like
I was gonna say the food alone is probably crazy, huh? Tapas,
and
people don't understand what tapas is. I would love to go there and experience that.
You absolutely should, and you're gonna be there. You'll be there one day for sure. It's unbelievable. The olives, I don't even like olives like that, but it was like candy, bro. It was everything I had. I took pictures of and ate a ton of, and it was awesome. It's a beautiful, beautiful country. And just getting out the country changes your perspective on a lot of things. So that was awesome. They gave me the invite, and I jumped on it because I knew that opportunity doesn't come too often.
And so when you're over there, you have a very, kind of program mindset for cannabis, the plant, how people interact with it, the industry. When you go over there and you experience another culture like that, what was that like? And then how did that kind of shift and change how your perspective of our culture is here?
That's a good question. Even before going there, when I went to California, that shifted. I'm like, oh, it's different. Like everybody has fire out here. Everybody's had fire. Everyone has flavors. It's not like, oh my God, there's this one guy and he has really good stuff like it was at the time, back home. And so that alone let me know that traveling could do that for me. So going overseas was a whole nother thing in the sense that it's not as like prevalent as it is here. I kind of take that for granted, where it's like, oh, just weed. It's just, you just talk about it. Everybody just does it. It's you're on Instagram and you know people that are in the industry. It just is what it is. It's been like that for a while. The people have been fighting the fight for a very long time. And it's just a different country. So really the clubs, the smoke clubs, the social clubs gave me a different vibe about it. This is like, this is kind of like almost like big city like club, but you're smoking, and they have a menu with a bunch of different flavors on it. And I think that really what it made me realize is that people are the same around the world. Really, we have a lot more in common than we do differences, and we may speak different languages and things like that, but we really just are all looking for the same things, like some good stuff to ease our hard lives and just to enjoy each other and connect and things like that. So I think the biggest thing was the fact that how much American flavor that they had over there. And yeah, really just, I don't know, kind of the culture of it all, with it being a new thing or like a newly more accepted culture. It was cool to see the movers and shakers at ground zero, kind of like we were seeing over here.
Yeah.
Yeah, because instead of an individual state kind of in a gray area, this whole country was in a gray area for a minute there.
Yep.
And maybe
Yep.
still are,
Yeah, yeah. It's cool to see a lot more European countries open up, and like Germany and things like that, like the Mary Jane event that was out there that looked amazing. It's cool to see it outside of your own home. It's cool to see how people do it, how you guys smoke over there, how do you roll up, like what do the spliffs, and I'm not with the spliffs really, but
Well, that one threw me for a minute.
That's what when I've been overseas.
I had a French foreign exchange student come, and we had Killer Green Bud, and he was like tearing open his cigarette and rolling our green bud in there with his tobacco, and we're like, bro, you can't do that. That's just not right. You cannot do that, man. And he says, where I'm from, we call it shit. I said, I could see why. It's fucking terrible.
Where were you overseas, Q?
Excuse me. I've gone for work. So I've gone to London, and then in 2019 I went to India. And that was funny because by that point the people that really like knew me in the community that I worked with, they knew that I liked weed. So there were a couple guys that like had found some weed or whatever in the town that we were in, and they brought it to me. And it was just funny to have people like, proud to bring weed to me and show me the weed. And it looked terrible, you're right, but it's still it was cool. And then in London, it was like a friend got somewhere, and it was like he gave me a bag of it, a little baggie of it, and I basically had like a day to enjoy it. And I was like trying to figure out, rolling papers and all that good stuff in London, and where could I do it and not get in trouble or something like that.
I was gonna say, what was the culture like in India, of all places?
Well, like it's like I was in Goa, so that's kind of like Hawaii, but in India.
Okay.
And it's on the west coast, like right on the water. And so that is a town that's like famous for like, that's where the hippies went and listened to like trance music and stuff like that. Like Goa psychedelic. Goa is in the name, right? So it's just famous for like that kind of music, I guess. So I imagine, people listening to this, they're like, yeah, weed and drugs are like no big deal in Goa. I imagine there's other parts of India where it's not so cool. And then obviously when just talking to people, they'll talk about how it grows where they're from, or they knew someone who, where it's growing in the wild and all this kind of stuff. And that's what I love, like some of the episodes that we've done, or where you talk to people or other podcasts you listen to, and just listen to folks talking about how they harvest it and like the cherries. I've talked to my wife about that and how they like,
Taurus. Yeah.
yeah, they like rub it on their hands and then they scrape the hash
Yeah.
off their hands. I've
Yeah.
described that to my wife and how disgusting that sounds to me. The like skin cell hash, but regardless, right? It's just amazing to hear about it. When it's just part of your culture and part of your society where it's just like it's just another plant, right? And it became part of their like agriculture.
Mhm.
But I wanted
Yeah.
to
And
sorry, go ahead,
sorry,
JR.
go ahead. I want to, yeah, because I mean, India and Nepal, their history with cannabis goes back thousands of years, and so, those attitudes aren't the same as they are here with a lot
Yeah,
of the
exactly.
Western culture.
Totally. Yeah, no, it's just amazing to um I would love to go back to India sometime. It's a very interesting place. It's very different from the states, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to throw in a growing question because we're like halfway through our time with you. So, and we're doing good on time. So I wanted to throw a random grower question. So you've been growing for like 8 years or so, and I imagine at this point, and especially because you're growing like professionally, I imagine at this point there's various processes or techniques that you are like really proud of and confident in, and you feel like you've like mastered, so to speak. So I'd love for you to just kind of dive into one of those, like just share, I feel like I really do this thing well, and you'd love to kind of pass on that knowledge to the community because I know, our listeners are growers, so I'm sure they'd love a good grow tip if you have one in you.
Yeah, let's see. I've honestly staying humble is like probably my number one grow tip. Um, Kind of like what I was talking about with after my first grow. That feeling can come in whenever you grow some fire. It's like, man, this shit is probably the best around. You know what I mean? Like, unless you have a ton of people around you that also grow. So I think staying humble, staying aware, and I've done a ton of methods. Yeah, like at facilities, it's the Grodan, the blocks, the Hugo blocks, the 6-inch ones. But we've done slabs, we've done the 3.5 on top of a 6 or on top of a 9, the big mama blocks. Um, at home, I do living soil. I prefer that as far as the ease of it all. I prefer the taste and like how it smokes for me personally. I've had a ton of salt grown that's fire. You like better than some soil grown that I've had. So I'm not an exclusively soil grown type of guy. But as far as for me growing at home and doing, if you plan on doing a lot, I would say living soil might be something that you might want to look into. And with bigger pots, I've kind of gone from doing like 31 gallons, trying to flip those really quickly to get as many flavors as I could, to now I'm just doing like 15 to 25 gallon pots. They get really big. I get a ton off of them, and if I can stage it out correctly, then I'll have the flavors that I didn't have before. So I often fight the urge of doing too much. That's another thing that I might say is like legitimately start small. Start with a few plants and everything sounds good. I have this thing where it's like I want it all. Like, man, 1 through 9 sounds good. So just get 1 through 9 instead of just getting one thing and going back and then trying another and getting overwhelmed and then letting plants die and not paying as much attention to them. That has kind of been a downfall for me personally. And I sometimes slip back into it. New clone drops, and I'm like, everything that JR puts out, I'm like, oh shit, could I squeeze in 3 more? Like, no, stop, but I
Yes.
want them. So I might just grab them, you know what I mean? And I'll figure it out. But I would say scale appropriately. You can always do more, you can always add more, but it's very difficult to take away. The only way to take away is to kill them, or harvest them. And so killing them, it hurts really bad. Or if they die, that really hurts the soul. And I would like people to avoid that as much as possible. So I would say, if you're looking for easy, there's tons of automatic waterings. I just got my like the auto pot type system. I think I got it from AC Infinity. Got that hooked up for when I tense, and so that's helping me where now I can put energy towards other things. I don't have to spend time watering, you know, so that's that can make your life easier. Any automation, I think, is a good thing. And those are a few things.
I think something you brought up earlier in our conversation is planning your stages. You know, because in your mind you're thinking, oh, I'm going to fill this whole tent, or I'm going to do this, that. But if you're, first of all, if you're propagating to where you're self-sufficient and supplying yourself with future, crops, you need to be mindful of every stage from your propagation to your drying and curing. And being mindful of what each parameter is for each one of those, because they all require their own temperatures, humidity, levels of attention and detail and all of that. So I would say, try to map it out. Say, okay, I got this tent. This is what I want to do. What's it going to take to get from one stage, to the next, to the next, to the next successfully, and then rinse and repeat. I think that's the thing that's also a challenge, is staging in a way that people can rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat.
Yeah, absolutely. And even if you plan on taking a cut of what you're growing, you're doubling your plant count, like just like that. So that was kind of another thing. Yeah, you may have room for 20 plants right now, but if you want to keep any of them, now you have 40 plants, and it takes 2 months, 2.5 months, 3 months to finish it once you flip it, So these are a lot of things that they're simple things, but if you don't think about them, you can really be in a tight situation. So yeah, I think that's awesome advice for sure.
So when you're kind of approaching the commercial side of things, you see a lot of new innovation. One thing our industry likes to do is invent new things that everyone should spend their money on. And I know in this time you've been doing this, you've seen some of these innovations come and go. What have been some of the ones that have really stuck with you, or ones that you're 100% behind?
From a commercial setting,
Yeah,
um,
just like equipment, just in equipment.
we use dosatron. The dosatron works awesome from a commercial setting. That's you kind of just set it and I don't want to say set and forget it, because we had a lot of maintenance with it. Even that was messing up a lot of times. The thing I learned with technology is sometimes it doesn't work, and sometimes it has to get repaired. And if it's brand new, they have a lot more bug fixes and things like that than you're used to, I would say. So really, from our facility was fairly small. It was the whole building was 5,000 square feet, and we have 3,000 growable square feet and 2 flower rooms, 1 veg room, 1 prop room, and we sectioned it into groups A, B, C, and D. So we had 2 harvests every month, and we kept ours fairly simple. I mean, I would say the dosatron that we had was about the most complicated piece of equipment that we had. We ran with a ton of Gavita lights. We started with HPSs and then eventually switched the whole building over to LEDs. And we threw in a couple of, I think those like the Scorpion Diablo lights, I think from like Aries or something like that. Those real thick bar lights. Threw a couple of those at the end of tables to kind of experiment, try to get our yields up at the end of tables. But other than that, we kept it pretty primitive, I guess, for lack of a better term. The owner was pretty tight with his money, so he didn't. He
Yeah.
blew money.
He wasn't hearing of the shenanigans.
Yeah, and he got burnt really bad with the first head grower. So
Yeah.
after that, he was like, "Okay, we
Running
are
lean.
lean, mean machine for sure."
So what
For
about when
sure.
underlighting kind of came on and you saw this under canopy lighting? What were your thoughts on that?
I think it's awesome. I think it's awesome. I just recently got like side lighting for my tent, and I've noticed a difference. I've definitely noticed a difference. I've only had one run with it, but I can see that it helps. I think it's pretty cool. It looks nice for sure, and I think if it helps, I would say I'm all for it for sure. Do you use it?
No, I don't. I don't,
Okay.
because for underlighting, every time I reset, that's something I got to deal with, clean, move around. And if I'm going to gain, maybe 20% extra, I could live without that and not have the hassle kind of thing. But if I
Yeah.
was paying somebody else to do it and it was giving me 20%, I'd probably do it.
Yeah.
But you know how it is. So one of the cool things I saw on your radar is that you're going to be judging the Billy Awards, and the Billy Awards have been kind of prestigious and around for a while. So can you kind of talk about the awards and what you're judging?
Yeah, definitely. So they did a really good job with how they did it. So initially they had the main judges, and I was not one of those people. One of those people that I did know was Rob CLTV. He's also from Michigan. And I've connected with him just, on Instagram a couple times, and I'm going to see him at the awards. But they also released consumer boxes to certain stores around the state. And so in my area, there was like, I think 4 boxes. There was at one store. So really all I had to do was go down and purchase the box, and you got the tickets essentially once you finish completing the judge's kit. So it essentially is like a pay to
Oh,
play. So I don't feel necessarily like, super like special per se. But it was something that I wanted to do because I really stay away from the legal scene. Once I got behind the scenes, I kind of saw like a lot can get through to the people, and there's a lot that I don't really rock with morally, and so I've seen that a lot of product in the shops are just garbage. It's trash, it's old. The
just
amount of times
profit
that they
over people every time. Profit over
every
people
time,
every time.
every time, every time. And I worked the owner of our facility. That's his mindset. They never smoked, and they're not from the state, and it's just a different mindset. It was a money play, and I'm not mad at anybody for trying to get some money. But I personally have a really hard time even working for companies, and like once I get the information, it's like, well, this only costs us a penny, but we're gonna charge $10 for it. I can't really sell it the same, and it's like I'm trying to find that balance in myself as far as the Robin Hood in me, which is the majority of me, and like maintaining a job. And so there's that fight. So I stay away from shops, but I want to kind of get into it. I realized that I was kind of closing myself off. I work all the time, so I don't really do anything and experience anything outside of my garden and the garden at the facility. So I'm like, let's see what the state has, because I know there is some fire out there, especially in the concentrate market for sure. But this was flower. So I ended up grabbing the box, and there were 23 different brands there were 23 different pre rolls, all rolled by the same professional. I can't remember the guy's name. Forgive me for that. But they were perfectly rolled, beautiful, beautiful glass tips. The joints had the number on each one. And it also came with 23 packs of 1.5 grams of the same flower. So
Oh, okay.
there was an app, and you scan the app, put in your code, and then you go through and judge on flavor, taste, ash color, oil ring, mouth coat, aftertaste, the feel, the tactical feel of it, um, all that, everything but effect, essentially. So it was really well done, really extensive, and then there was a comment section where you could put everything you thought about the flower. So I went through that process over like 4 days, probably like 4 days, and submitted it all. What I noticed is that there was a lot of similar tastes for sure, and that didn't surprise me because trends, and they will forever be. So there was a lot of gelato tasting things, which is good, which is good. Um, Nothing that like blew my socks off. There was one that I thought was the clear winner, and a second place that was close. There was 4 of them that I thought that were legitimately unsmokable for me personally. But overall, I thought it was a good box. I love the experience, and I'm looking forward to going to the award show for sure.
Yeah, that's really cool that they put that out for for people to experience as a judge's kit. I mean, because a lot of people, they would love that opportunity to see what these guys judge and taste. And that's kind of one of the cool things we just had the Dude Grows Cup this last weekend is that you are the judge. They give you a lighter, a oney, a poker, and 4 tokens, and you try. There was 80 different varieties of flower there, Soulfire took #1 with his G Ride. Was
Wow.
one of the growers, and he'll be on Garden Happy Hour. We're going to interview him this Friday. And then his another one of his strains, I think, were in the top 10 as well. So did really well at that cut. But anyways, like I said, you get to go around and try all these 80 strains, and the ones you like the most, you put your little token in. And at the end of the day, and like you said, I think effect kind of gets washed away when you're trying that many strains. But that flavor and that profile, and sometimes you will hit that one that kind of punches above the rest. And so would you say that what was the kind of the profile that terpene wise that's kind of stuck out to you the most in that whole pack?
The ones that were more like terpenoline kind of heavy, it was like, whoa, it smells like a straight sativa. It's it smells like energy. When you sniff it. There were a couple really good lemon flavors, and I think there was a Lululemons, I think is what one of them was in there. That was pretty good. I thought the macchiato to me stuck out really well. I think the difference between the consumer kit and the main judges one is that the consumer one had the genetics on it and had, the
Oh, I
entire.
told you what it was. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so there was a few names on there that I'm like, I feel like they just made these names up, but I don't know that to be true. I don't know that to be true, so I won't put that on them. But
Right.
like, I never heard of this, and it tastes like something else, But the kind of citrusy flavors stood out to me because most of them were more of the creamy, the creamy, little dank, a little musk flavors. It was pretty similar, but they were all cured really well, had really nice feel. They all smoked, as far as like the joint itself burned awesome, shout out to the roller. But yeah, I'd say the brighter flavors definitely stuck out to me. And with Soulfire, now I think about it, you mentioned him. I had grown I popped 2 full packs of his Bahama Berry and looked through 21 different ones, and it was fire. Like he does really, really good work.
He does good work, and he doesn't rush things. You know what I mean? That's what
Absolutely.
I think it's why he does as well as he does.
Yeah, for sure.
So you were just talking about kind of the status of the industry and where things are at in terms of what people are growing, and your kind of thoughts on the industry itself and kind of participating in it. I wanted to get your thoughts on kind of the future of the cannabis industry and kind of where things are headed over the next few years. Obviously, in the recent time frame, we've had, I guess, Trump did something, right? What did he do? He rescheduled it down a notch, which probably will just end up kind of allowing a bunch of big corporate interests into the cannabis industry finally, and maybe not much else. But yeah, kind of curious what your thoughts are, because it sounds like things are, for a long time we've heard about how great things are in Michigan, and it sounds like obviously things aren't as great as they once were. So yeah, love your thoughts on the future.
Yes. I found it's pretty similar to Michigan. To me, is similar to California in the sense that whatever happens in California, it's like a ripple effect. It takes a while, but then it always hits. The flavors, the laws, even. And a lot of times I feel like people are watching the states that do it first, and then they kind of go off of that. Similar to Colorado. And so right now, I think that the future, Michigan is overall still has very quality market. There are people that are thriving, especially in the rosin. Michigan has fire rosin. I'm not gonna lie to you, like really, really good. Especially it's readily available. That is one thing that I do like, that you can get really good stuff in a ton of different stores for a pretty reasonable price. So that is good. That it's not all bad. But I see the future. I see people getting tired of hype. The hype still kind of will show itself, but I feel people kind of getting a little bit tired of what's in, and I'm feeling and hearing the green wave is coming back versus the purple and the candies and stuff. People want the gas again, and like all trends come and go and come and go, and we'll be rocking bell bottoms again and suspenders and something like that. I don't know,
Yeah,
some
no,
platform shoes.
it is crazy to me how the 90s have come back and I see kids wearing the stuff that I wore in high school and stuff like that. I'm sure it happens to like literally everyone, but it's just
Yeah.
wild to me that it's finally happening to me.
Gonna break out your Jinko jeans.
Yeah, no, literally people are doing that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's wild.
So one of the things I wanted to talk about, and I heard you speak about this on another podcast, about Black excellence in our industry and in our, in the cannabis space as a whole. And I think that's one thing you represent very well. So can you kind of speak on that and kind of talk about your experience, kind of coming up through this industry?
Yeah, it's something that I think it's really important to me. Not I think it's important to me just to represent myself, represent my family, and represent my people. One thing that really stands out to me from a shroom conversation back in high school with my boy, or shortly after high school, he was tripping and about to move out of his parents' house, and he was outside and he was looking up at the stars, and he's like, "Think about where your parents have been." He's just like going off. Think about where your parents have been. Everything they did, every turn they made led us to right here.
Mm-hmm.
And they're kind of like, like, oh, he's tripping, blah, blah, blah. But I'm like, this dude is spitting low key. Like that's real. That is very real. And shout out my boy Danny Gallagher. That's my man. So that even to this day in this moment sticks out in my head as far as like, think about where your parents have been. Think about where your ancestors, what they had to go through just for us to be right here doing what we want to do, and that doesn't just apply for Black people, but I'm a Black person, so I can only speak for myself. And my dad was born in 1930 in Andalusia, Alabama. So I'm 36. So like I have a very different perspective on a lot of things. And so he just told me a lot, as a kid. And I grew up in a predominantly white area, and my school, there's maybe like 10, 15 Black people there. And I had my own journey with identity growing up as a kid, and that's in that setting. And I would spend evenings at like my cousin's house, like on the other side of my family, and it was like the more rougher side, so I had a pretty good balance, and I would see kind of their struggles and things like that, and I would go back to no struggle because I had an outstanding upbringing, and my parents did awesome, and it wasn't all good, but mostly good. And so it's really important to me to make them proud. Both my parents have passed away at this point. Make myself proud. I have a younger sister. I just want to represent. And before I got into the industry, I didn't think that I could get into the industry solely based off of how I look. Even if I knew something, which I didn't at the time. So I'm not like saying I should have been let in at the time, but I didn't see anybody that looked like me that was doing what I wanted to do besides the local level. There was a bunch of people selling weed and growing weed, but I knew I wanted to do that. But as far as the legal market, I saw that there was something happening and I wanted to be a part of it. So it took knowing somebody, and that's a lot of times what it does take for you to get into doors that you wouldn't have gotten to otherwise. Right. And really I just was granted an opportunity, but I always have that extra, it's not even a chip on my shoulders, but it's in the front of my mind that I am representing something more than myself. And people that do see me, I didn't realize this until they reached out to me and let me know, like, man, I didn't know Black people were in the space, and keep going, and you're doing this and doing that. And that the fact that I could encourage someone else solely by doing what I'm doing is like, that is all the fuel that I need to keep going. But that's what I was looking for. I was looking for someone to inspire me to get in. I knew I wanted to get in, but I'm like, man, who's doing it? So eventually you kind of see some here and there. And I really wanted to do the breeding thing. So I was really looking for breeders at the time. And so I just feel that I feel a duty. I feel a duty just to my ancestors from the very beginning. Yeah. They went through hell, and I got it pretty good. You know what I'm saying? So I just want to represent and just show that people can do it too. We can do it too. You know what I mean? There's brilliant minds in every color across every part of the globe. You know, it's kind of just an access thing. And I don't know. I feel like we should have representation. And it's like, if I'm gonna be that, I might as well do what I can, do my
Do
best.
it well. Do it and do it well, man. And in the space of the plant, I think the plant is one of the energies that is encompassing. You know what I mean? I mean, you don't look at any issue in America where like 70 to 80% of the total population say this thing has medicinal value. Just that in itself kind of gives you an indication of that, the energy that the plant brings to the table. And I think inclusivity is a big part of that. And I think if people reach out more and people, get inspired more, you'll see more of that. And I think that's where you're leading by example. And I appreciate it a lot. I really do.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Like seriously, it means it means the world. It means the world because I realize that like I am an ancestor now. You know, like eventually I'll be.
Yeah,
I don't
you're
have
the inspiration now.
exactly. You know, it's like now I'm reaching unk status, and so there's got to be people coming behind me, and it's like I want to be a good example. You know, I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot of what not to do, especially, and I've made a ton of mistakes. So, I mean, if I can help anybody, spare any kind of potholes and stuff like that, what Michigan is known for, potholes, and I can do that. So, yeah.
And I'm glad that you explained why seeing yourself or someone like yourself and whatever you aspire to do, why that's important. Because I think, as just speaking frankly, as white people, I think we have a hard time understanding that. I get really pissed or just annoyed as hell with people online or whatever it is, and they're just complaining about like, why did this award show do this thing or whatever it is. You see this all the time, and it's stories like that of why it's important, right? And it's so that people can feel like they can do that too, right? And I think we as white people, or especially as male white people, we're so used to seeing people like ourselves do shit. And so so the question or the idea that you can do it is like, no, yeah, no shit, I can do it or whatever. I just have to be lucky enough or good enough or whatever it is. But anyways, I'm glad that you talked about that, because I think it's something that people really need to kind of think through and understand and really appreciate why representation matters.
And I want to hone in on relationships because that was something you hammered early in this conversation, is that most any and all opportunities you have in life are about relationships. And your support system and your support group is built on relationships. And often in life, shit happens, cancer happens, accidents happen, devastation happens. And it's that support group and those relationships that you forge and build over time that carry you and end up carrying your story forward and your opportunity to thrive.
Absolutely. My relationships, that's my favorite part. The best thing that came from me being in the industry or getting with the plant is every relationship that I've built. Most of the favorite people that I have in my life right now are in California. I'm not from California, but
Yeah.
I just met some of the best, the most genuine, my favorite people in the world are people that are uniquely themselves. When I think of them, I don't think of I can't think of anyone else that is like them, and there are some people that I'm like, oh, they're, kind of like such and such, but those people really, I just really appreciate them for their uniqueness and the pressures of being like somebody else. I've fallen into that pressure time and time again as a kid, but I can look back and like, okay, I just wanted to be cool. I just wanted to fit in and things like that. So these days I really have a big appreciation for people that are just themselves. They're just doing their thing. They've got their own thing going. So I think that natural energy, and people can sense that, people sense that I appreciate who they are and I'm genuinely interested in learning about them. And I love people. I love people. There's a lot of shitty ones, but there's way more good ones. And I've met so many awesome people, so many chef friends that I have. Like, they feed me. You know, I just
Oh
like
man, I love that. I'll never forget the first time I got invited down by a chef to just come and experience our restaurant. It was like one of the most mind blowing things ever, you know.
they are on another level. It's like you just they're masters of their craft as well. You know, kind of how what we do. They have it in the food realm, and they go hand in hand because a lot of times you smoke before you eat and you smoke after you eat during your eating time. You know, it's like, and everybody has to eat. You know, and as smokers, it's like we got to smoke something. So at least just to maintain my stability. So it goes hand in hand, and it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. I mean, Humble has been awesome. They're my family. You know, I definitely consider that. Um, my boy Chris Candid Kush, that's my guy. He is awesome. He does incredible work. He's an incredible guy. There's so many people. Chef Hedgen, Big Bad Wolf, SF, she's the shit. Gives me amazing game just in life. I've met so many people of all shades, all genders, all everything that are just they have something to give to the world, you know, and I love it. It's an endless well of uniqueness.
Yeah. No, I think that's one of the great perspectives that you get with traveling or just having what I guess if you can't travel, at least like interacting with people that are different from you, because you realize like you were saying earlier, people are so similar. You know, they might eat different things or stay out late or get up early or whatever. But they're still, people, and they have similarities, right? And they still have those pains and the hardships in their families or whatever that they have to get
And the
through.
hopes and the dreams,
Yeah,
you know, the
exactly.
hopes and the
Yeah,
dreams.
exactly. So JR, do you want to wrap up the last question or two here?
Yeah, so tell us about some of the events you're excited for. Tell people where they can get a hold of you, where they might see you. Just give us some shout outs.
Yeah, you can get a hold of me on Instagram, Wide Hippie Genes, Genes. I am about to start an interview series, kind of similar to what you guys do. You know, I definitely take some inspiration from this for sure, and kind of to the point of all of the dope people that I've met. I want to highlight them and shine a light on their journeys and things like that. So I'm looking forward to starting the Generous Genes podcast, where I'm giving.
How cool, man!
So be looking for that coming soon. But Instagram is the best way to get a hold of me. Let's see. I forgot the first part of your question.
Oh, is there any events or anything you're excited for this summer?
Yeah. The Billy Awards for sure. That's in July in Michigan, and July 9th. So I'll be there. I believe that Humboldt is going to have another pheno hunt this fall, and it may be a smaller one, but I think I'm going to slide out there for that as well. And I would love to get out to Reggae on the River if I can. That's in August, and that's like in Humboldt. So,
Nice.
Yeah, I would love to do that. Shout out
That'd
to
be
my
cool.
boy Danny from GW Smoke Break TV.
Oh yeah, he's a great guy.
He's awesome. Last time I just went to Cali at the beginning of May, and he picked me up from the airport. I stayed at his rental property. He drove me to the Mendo Cup, took care of me for sure. So that's my guy. I really appreciate him. And shout out to Kevin Jodry, who is like my OG, and he's given me a ton of game over the years. I definitely want to shout out him. And yeah, besides that, I'll be around. I'll be around for sure. Next year, I'm manifesting being at the Mary Jane in Berlin. So I missed this year, missed last year, but I'll be there next year for sure. But I'm around. If you're in Michigan, holla at me. And if I'm in Cali, I'll holla at you.
Nice. Sorry if you guys, I had to like run in. My son was just decided to take a bottle of water and spill it all over the couch. So if you saw me dive and if the screen like flickered for the like YouTube viewers or whatever it is, that's what happened, because I had to throw my headphones off and grab them. But awesome. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with us today. I really appreciate your time. So you are on Instagram. Is it at Wide Hippie Genes, Genes? Is that your Instagram?
Yep. YWIDE Hippie HIPPIE Genes GENES.
Awesome. Well,
thank you guys so much for having me. I really appreciate your time, and this whole thing has been dope.
Yeah. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today. JR, thanks for putting together today's episode. We really appreciate it. Thanks everyone who's watching on YouTube. Like I said, we've not put out as many episodes, and then YouTube's been on our butts for basically the last year, taking down like every other upload, it seems like. So it was really cool to see our last episode go out and get a great reaction. I know this
And
one will
stay out.
too. Yeah, and stay up and not get taken down. So if you watched all the way to the end here, please leave a comment and let us know that you made it all the way to the end. Thanks everyone for watching. Thanks, JR. And as always,
Growers love.
growers love, everyone. Have a great rest of your week.